Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Happy Monday. Happy Make Your Move Monday. Make Your Move Monday. Happy Make Your Move Monday. First one of 2025. Let me just check all the platforms real quick. Make sure sound check 1 2 1 2 is on. Okay, there we go. Sound check 1 2 1 2. Sound check 2 1 2. Let's see. Right, LinkedIn is acting like an ass. But let me check Facebook real quick. All right, Facebook, we looking like Facebook is good. Check 1 2 1 2. All right, Facebook is ready. And LinkedIn just takes a little bit of time. That's all. All right, here we go. LinkedIn is ready. LinkedIn's up. What's up, LinkedIn? What's up, LinkedIn? Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right. And YouTube. Looking on the YouTube. All right. YouTube. Let's do it. Because we want to feel like we're all day like, check 1 2 1.
Lately,
Let's get through this ad real quick.
Accident injury victims have been getting the low-value settlement offers from insurance companies.
All right, check it 1 2, check it 1 2. All right, here we are, back again. You know how we get down. As promised, today we are spending the first Monday of, well, first of all, let me introduce myself real quick. If this is your first time tuning into me, first time listening to any of my work, my name is Aswan Crookshank, a former Division I college football player and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do is I use the lessons that I learned in football in regards to teamwork, innovative teamwork, to be more specific. I use those lessons and apply them to businesses to help business owners create a staff, create a group of employees, create a unit, create a crew that is just as hungry, just as motivated, just as passionate as a championship high school and youth football team. So today, since seeing that, we are still counting down. We're still counting down the top 10 moments of 2024. Past Friday, I went 1 through 5. Today, I'll be going 6 through 10. But before I get there, I want to hear from you all, because it is Monday. It is officially Make Your Move Monday. First Make Your Move Monday of 2025. All right. And the question, and for those of you who don't know, actually, let me tell you real quick. For those of you who do not know, every single Monday, I pose a question, something that I call the Make Your Move kickoff question, to get you guys started out on the right track and focused and figuring out how it is you're going to be doing things. And, you know, just something that's thought provoking so that you are remained focused when the world likes to distract you and things like that. So that's part of the role that I play. All right. So what I do is I pose the question, I give you my answer, my thoughts on what it is it's going to be, and look forward to hearing from you and your thoughts. So you guys already saw it. Let me put it back up here. On this day, seeing that we are on the first Monday of 2025, on this day in 2026, I would have accomplished what? Let it sit a little bit. I would have accomplished what exactly are you going to accomplish on, or would you have accomplished on this day in 2026? Now, for me, my goal, and I spoke about this a little earlier on today's Move Swiftly Thought, but I'm going to say it again because it is important that you continuously have your goals written down somewhere, have your goals that like right at the tip of your tongue, and make sure that you know exactly what your goals are, and you need to be specific. So I'll give you an example. On this day, 2026, I would have helped 5 business owners who have 20 or more employees. I would have helped them create a staff that is moving just as passionately, just as efficiently, and has the same hunger and determination as a high school or youth championship football team. You see how specific that was? And I challenge every one of you. I challenge every last one of you to make sure whatever your goals are for this year. I'm not telling you to go and create resolutions. All right. I'm telling you to have goals. I'm telling you to have specific goals, to make them as specific as I just laid out. Specific goals. All right. Say it with me, folks. Specific goals. We're not in the business of creating resolutions, because resolutions end very, very quickly. Resolutions, it's January 6th, and most resolutions are going to be over in about 2 weeks, because, again, everyone's so excited with the new year. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. And this is my New Year's resolution. Now, the specific goals, like I just mentioned to you, attainable goals, specific things that you want, and specific systems in place for you to get those goals. That's how actual progress is made. All right. So I'm going to say it again. I'm going to give the kickoff question again. Just in case you missed it, the kickoff question again is, on this day in 2026, I would have accomplished ... question mark. For myself, I would have helped 5 business owners who have 20 or more employees. I would have helped them create a staff that is moving just as cohesively, just as passionately, and just as hungry and determined as a youth or a high school championship football team. Put it up there real quick. Again, let it sit. Put it in the comments as we get started. All right, so that's the kickoff question. Before I get started on today's topic, let's get through some announcements. First and foremost, if you are in the West Palm Beach area, West Palm Beach, Florida, and you are interested in free boxing lessons, be sure to contact me. Hit the QR code that you see right there on the screen. We do it every 2 weeks. We had one this past Saturday, and the next one will be, let me just double check the calendar here. The next one will be on the 18th. The next one will be on the 18th, and then every single 2 weeks we do it right here in the West Palm Beach area. Also, business owners, if you have not yet, make sure you hit freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. What I've done is I've created 10 very actionable steps that you can use to create a cohesive unit in your staff right now. They're very easy to understand. Make sure you do that. Again, it is a free guide that you need to be using this very moment, especially seeing that we are just kicking off this new year, and there's a lot of people looking for a lot of different jobs at all sorts of places. And, you got to have a system in place to make it so the retention rates go up and the retention rates do not continue to go down. Seeing that we are in this world of AI and everybody's applying, and you don't know who's actually writing this or writing that. So finally, Patreon, tap into the Patreon link, patreon.com/as144. We have preseason, regular season, and postseason. We have something for everybody, wherever you are financially. This is the system. This is the group, the exclusive community in which you need to be a part of as we get going here in 2025. This is where the majority of my content is going to be going to for the members of this particular community. All right. So let me put the banner up again. All right, we're counting down. All that out the way. Counting down the top 10 moments, finishing off the list of the top 10 moments of 2024. I believe I ended off with, it was August, when my high school, the Good Counsel Falcons, shout out to everyone that's out there in the Northeast area. You're in my prayers. Hopefully you guys stay safe with the wintry mix, the wintry storm. I'm not one of those cats that have moved to Florida, lived in Florida, and is kind of laughing and saying, "Oh, thank God I don't got to be a part of that." I do have a lot of family and friends. It's where I grew up in Maryland, so they're going through a heavy snowstorm. So prayers for everyone. Make sure you guys bunker down, stay safe. Know you guys always looking out for us whenever we're going through hurricane season and the snowstorm that I've been hearing about and reading about. Hopefully everyone stays safe throughout that time. Again, I've lived through those. It's not anything to play around with at all. Those are serious times, man. It is quite, especially when you get that wintry mist, you get the snow, sleet, and ice, and the roads. It's incredibly dangerous. And shout out to the people who have those businesses that help clear up the snow. You know, the sand trucks and all the people that do that type of work. You know, that type of work goes so unnoticed that it's important that, you know, we show those people some appreciation, which is, again, what allowed me to have the perspective that I have in regards to teamwork and why I do the work I do on such a consistent basis. Because, you know, I remember we'd have snowstorms, and there was actually there. Yeah, I remember we had a big snowstorm one year when I lived in Maryland, and there was this guy. He had this huge pickup truck, and you know, he wasn't getting paid or anything like that. You just see him like nobody. Like when I say huge, we couldn't leave the house. The snow was stacked up in the driveway, the roads. Like we were stuck in the house for like at least a couple of days. We could not go anywhere, right? So I remember there was actually this pickup truck that was just driving around in circles, clearing up the roads, because this was before the sand trucks were able to come and help out and all that. So they're just driving around, helping out. No one asked them to do it, just doing their part as a citizen and a member of the community. So again, shout out to all the folks that are in the Northeast area that are bunkering down and preparing for a wintry mix of what I heard it is. All right. So all that being said, I ended last. The reason I kind of got sidetracked there, but the reason I did get sidetracked is because I thought about my last 1 through 5 when I did it this past Friday, and I ended with my alma mater, Good Counsel. We played a team named the Columbus Explorers in Miami, and I drove out to Miami and I watched them play, and how rewarding that was to be able to speak to the boys and to see them get a win and all that kind of stuff. So that was where we ended off. I'm not going to go through 1 through 5 again because I'll definitely get sidetracked. Just go tune into it. It is available on this very channel or on the platform whatever platform you may be tuning into. I would prefer that you listen to it on YouTube because that's where I put most of my stuff, but it's available on my podcast and it's available LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that. So coming in at number six. Now this is why this list was so tough and why I had to actually do a full live stream on the list in totality from 2024, because 6 and 7 are run very similar. All right, they're very much in kind of coincide with each other. So number six, I'll just say number 6 for the sake of this, is the fact that I continue to win my age group in 5Ks and in 10Ks. The only races I actually ran this past year in 2024 were 5Ks and 10Ks, because the previous year, if you could recall, in 2023, that October, I attempted the first time to run a full marathon and failed miserably. Absolutely miserably failed. And it's been something that's been eating at me ever since then. It'll be, now approaching 2 years now since that time in which, I went to Sebring, Florida. I was talking a lot of smack, like going into that race. I'll never forget, because going into that race, I was doing a lot of talking. I was pretty much I was already speaking it into existence. I was calling myself a marathoner already. I had already ran. I remember I was third in my age group in a half marathon that I ran earlier. And, I'd broken the 20-mile mark. I actually ran 20 miles leading up to that. So I felt like I was ready to roll, man. I drove out to Sebring, Florida. And the best thing about it was it was a marathon where it was 6-mile loops. So just 4, it was just 4 rounds of 6 miles, to where, again, 6 miles. I did 6 miles this morning. 6 miles is nothing for me, boy. So, I was walking in there with I was like what these young boys call it now, the smelling myself. Yeah, I was walking into this marathon in Sebring in October. It's October 21st, 2023. I was walking into it really feeling myself, really feeling like, oh yeah, this is gonna be easy. It's gonna be easy. I'm a marathon. I was already calling myself multiple marathoners, and being one of the people that do it every year, knock it out. I was really smelling myself. I was really disrespecting the running community by the way I approach that race, right? So I go to Sebring, and I remember I got a massage the day before, and got the legs right, and there was something the morning of the race. I ain't gonna lie to you, there was just something off, man. There was something off. My stomach wasn't feeling right. I don't know what it was. I'm not here making excuses, but it just didn't. I don't know. Something was off. Something was off that morning. It just didn't fit the normal routine. So long story short, I ended up with a DNF, which stands for did not finish. Not only did I not finish, I ended up in the hospital. All right. I started cramping. I couldn't move. I haven't lived through something like that since I was in high school, but legs started cramping, everything. I had to go to the emergency room, and, they put a line in me, and I could barely make it out. This is Sebring, Florida, guys. This is no one, like a land of absolutely nobody. So I had to get the ambulance, and I went there by myself, get the ambulance to drop me back to the race. No, here's what happened. Yeah, so the ambulance takes me to the hospital. First, I tried to avoid it because I didn't want to have to. I thought I could just kind of walk out the cramps, but the nurses came, the ambulance came, and they said, "Yo, look, we gotta do something, man. You're not getting any better. We could shove all the bananas and all the water, could do everything for you, but we got to get you to the hospital." So after they put a line in me, I was able to walk and got the cramps out and all that kind of stuff. This is Sebring, Florida. There's no Uber. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. Yeah, my phone. Yeah, I didn't have my phone. My phone had died. Something happened. I didn't have my wallet. Yeah, that's what happened. I didn't have my wallet, so I couldn't Uber back to the race, and I had to figure out how I was going to get from the hospital back to the race, and go to my car, get all my belongings and all that, get my wallet, everything, right? So ever since that experience, I ain't gonna lie to you, I did finish the half marathon. I got to like I want to say mile 14 or 15 when all of this happened. So I did finish my half marathon. But ever since that, it took me some time to get back into the game. So this past year, I only signed up for 5Ks and 10Ks, and I was still winning my age group. So, being able to maintain after all that and continue to win my age group in certain races. In fact, there was one last year where I came in second overall, and I was still able to maintain the standard is the standard. Even though I'd lived through that and I'd gone through that, the standard of me continuing to run these races and compete, which is the best part of these races. The reason I do these races so much is because of that element of competition. Listen, I'm a football guy. I played the game, scouted the game, coached the game. Guys, regular listeners, you know how much I love the game of football, which, by the way, tomorrow I'm going to be breaking down the mix that you need to build a championship team. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow. And in fact, this week I'm celebrating my birthday, and I'm actually going to be going to the College Football Hall of Fame and all that. But we'll be addressing that later. One of the things that these 5Ks and these races and these 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, whatever it is, what they do is they allow me to get that competition, those competitive juices out. You don't just lose those competitive juices just because you take off your shoulder pads and helmet. It's in you. It's got to be something that's burning inside you. So, as far as number 6, it's actually me continuing to make the podium, continuing to win my age group in certain races. On multiple races, I was hitting the podium and all that. So very, very proud of that. All right. So that was around, like I said, that's around October time when I was thinking about not all the races. I was doing races throughout the year, but during that time, you would kind of see me posting every week. I'm hitting the podium and all that kind of stuff. So that's number 6. Number 7. Oh, number 7. Number 7. I gotta tell you, family is so precious, man. family, man. Oh, family. Let me put the picture up. I'll put the picture up for you guys real quick so you see it. So you see it, man. family. The number 7 is right there in the middle. You see that one right there in the middle. You see me, 2 of my uncles, and my nephew. All right. It's to your right. If you're looking at it directly, it's to your right. It's the middle image to your right, where you see my arm around that kid who was once a damn baby. All right. My little baby nephew, my godson, my mofa. Like that's my little man's right there, dog. That's my man's, man. And he's just as tall as me now. He's walking around like me, got the whole. It was an absolutely amazing, amazing moment. And I had thought about, I had actually considered. So let me break down the whole Thanksgiving to you. Now, I do have an article written about it. It's out that you can go listen, that you can go read. I also did a full video on it. But I remember going into that Thanksgiving because this was, you got to think, this past August, I went to a family reunion, like I was talking about on Friday. I went to a family reunion in Trinidad, and I really didn't feel like going back to Maryland, especially during that time in Thanksgiving. I done got too used to the warm weather out here in South Florida. So if I'm going to be visiting Maryland, I went to Maryland a year ago for Thanksgiving already, and it's like, I ain't really feeling this whole Thanksgiving in Maryland deal as much as I might have used to, back when I just got to Florida. But so I was telling my mom, I was kind of moving in that direction where I was kind of insinuating. I was kind of telling my mom, I don't know if I'm feeling this whole Thanksgiving Maryland trip this year. And she goes, look, you ain't going to want to miss this. You ain't going to want to miss. She goes, trust me, son, trust me. And this one of all the Thanksgivings, this is not the Thanksgiving that you want to miss. But then again, it's mom's, and she's like, all right, it's like whatever. But she was continuing to tell me. She goes, you're not gonna want to miss this particular Thanksgiving. We got your cousins you got Soraya coming from Vegas. You got your cousins from Delaware coming. You got Jersey coming. This house is about to be packed. You got Brooklyn crew. You got so many people that want to see, that keep up with you on your YouTube and your socials and all that. You have so many of your uncles that keep up with you. You're going to want to see them. You're going to want to see them this Thanksgiving. So, you can't say no to that when your mother actually puts it in that she puts it in that way, and she puts it in that perspective. So buy my ticket to Maryland, and man, oh man, it was a quick trip. It was only I got there the Wednesday, stayed the Thursday for Thanksgiving, and left the Friday night. So it was a quick trip to Maryland, but my goodness, was it worth it? My goodness, was it worth it? Let me walk you through what Thanksgiving of 2024 was like. Because I get there Wednesday morning. Yeah, I get there early Wednesday morning. I finally land in Maryland early Wednesday morning, and my dad picks me up, and we're driving from BWI back to it. And the amount of times I've made that trip from Baltimore to Silver Spring, Maryland, where I grew up, just looking at some of my old stomping grounds and the Laurel. I used to get that Laurel. I used to be there. I used to be playing there. It was a great. It's almost like sightseeing, looking back into your childhood, because they put up certain new shopping centers, they built new buildings, and you got to understand, my dad's an architect, right? So every single time, and this has been consistent with him for decades at this point. If you're taking a long trip with my father, he's going to be pointing out this building that he worked on, and that building, and how the architecture structure is there. And that's just what you're going to get when you're making a long trip with my father. And that's what I'm learning actually gave me the perspective that I have now to see the game and to see certain things in a certain way. So we finally get back to Route 1, which is kind of the way we get back in our house. And there's traffic, and we have to go up here and go up here. And now I'm getting a little nervous because I have a podcast interview to do at 1 o'clock that day. So finally make it home, and I do my podcast interview from the studio in which I started all of this stuff, right? If you guys can go recall it, well, the episode's not out yet, but I did do a live stream. I think I did do a live. Yeah, so I did the live stream that day, and then I did an episode right after that recording that won't be out. It'll probably be out sometime in February or March or whatever it is. So did that. And then my family started arriving. The people started arriving. The people who were living, or not living, excuse me, that were staying at a hotel. They were in and out. Everyone's prepping for dinner to the next day and all that. So, and again, it's crazy to me because I'm now in the uncle seat. And whenever I would see my uncles look at me when I was my niece and nephew's age, the shock in which they look at me in terms of how big they got. That's the same way I am when I see my niece and nephew and how big they have gotten, how grown they are, and they going to the mall by themselves, and they doing a bunch of teenage bullish. She's like, dude, what happened to my babies, man? My babies, they grow up incredibly fast. Now I teach, I'm around kids all day, and I talk to parents all day. So it's one of those things that every time I see my niece and nephew, and especially someone that aspires to be a father one day, I do have aspirations of becoming a father one day. It's always one of those things where I look at those two and say, that was like the case. That's where I got my feet wet in terms of how to do this thing and how you actually go about planning and building a family and all that, because I was there when my sister told me, like the day she told me she was pregnant with Jada, and then Judah came, and the situation that went on with the parents, it was so much that I was sitting back as a young college graduate when they were born that I was learning. So to see how they're growing and developing and doing well in their own rights, man, that was beautiful, because then you get the Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, where, again, like my mother promised, the house was packed with family members, packed with cousins from Delaware and uncles. And the thing about it, you guys got to understand, there was a period when I was 25 where I lost everything, lost absolutely everything. My car was repossessed, phone was cut off. I had absolutely not one penny, absolutely lost everything because I tried to start this team. In fact, I even wrote about it. I tried to start this minor league team named the Ocean City Sharks. I mean, I did absolutely everything. Here it is right here in my book. Right there. Yeah, I wrote about it. Shout out to makeyourmove.com. Go get a copy, by the way. But tried to start this team in Ocean City named the Ocean City Sharks. And Ocean City is near Delaware. So one of my last hurrahs to get this thing started was I was going to go to Delaware State and try to use Delaware State as a way of practicing or as a way of spreading the word. So my uncle who lives in Delaware, he lives walking distance pretty much right by the campus. So they let me stay there for maybe about a month trying to get this thing kicked off, and to see them, see him, that uncle, come with his family and all his boys and his grandkids, and to know that, years, all the things that we've been through as a family, man, to know that no matter what, we got each other's back, no matter what it is we going through. I'm telling you, I can get emotional thinking about it. I really can, because that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, regardless. And by the time we got to dinner, by the time we actually, food, fork to plate, time to eat now, because you get all this, male bonding, you get all the stories, you get a lot of Trinis in one house. There's a lot of alcohol, a lot of shit talking, tons of shit talking. We could get to talking. That's what my family does. Any Caribbean household will tell you, right? We can get to talking. And, my uncle gave a prayer. We had him give the word, to bless the food. And again, mid-30, I'm me 36 this week. And this was the first time I've seen him get emotional the way he got emotional. He got emotional thinking about everything they lived through. And that moment was so precious. It was so precious because, remember now, just a few months prior, I was in Trinidad at a family reunion for my father's side. However, we stayed at my great grandmother's house in Trinidad, who was on my mother's side. So I got a history lesson from my mother about, where she grew up and how poor they were in the one room and all that. And to be in this house in Silver Spring, Maryland, to have it all there, man, come on. And then to see my niece, I mean, come on. It was absolutely a wonderful, wonderful moment. And it's why I had to write about it. So that's number 7. That's number 7, because we did that Thursday, and then, I was ready to get up out of the cold and come back here to Florida. So Friday night, I head back Friday night, and then it leads right into number 8. Let me tell you, number eight, right after number 8. So you get this picture right here to your right? You get the picture to your right where you see me in Maryland hanging out with my uncles and my nephew. Then you get right there to the top left. I am big grin on my face. I'm smiling and I'm wearing a Michigan hat. Oh, oh my goodness. Now, let me just break it down for you. Let me break it all the way down, because I landed that day that Michigan this year upset Ohio State. Was a big, 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 big day. My flight was from Friday night. I went from Friday night to Maryland, and I got into Florida. Like early, maybe 1 or 2 a.m. Right. So I'm jet lagged. But the Michigan Ohio State game is starting at 12, like less than 12 hours. So, and you know me, I got to make sure I take my run every morning. I got to make sure I record my video every morning and put it out there, fulfill the promise that I give you guys every single day. Daily, move swiftly, thought. And throughout the entire trip, and now normally what I do on planes, whenever I have a plane, I'll usually read, or I usually listen to some self-development podcast or something of that nature. I was doing none of that. This Friday night, it was Friday night, and I felt like we could pull this off. But the maize and blue I was like listening to all the former players, the JJ McCarthy's, the Jake Butts, and all the former players coming out and getting ready to say, if Michigan pulls off this upset, it will be absolutely monumentous. We have lost 5 games. Ohio State, as you can see, is clearly a motherfucking problem. They got dudes, man. They were heavily favored to tap that ass, and for good reason. If you see them, right, they can blind them boys that they have a squad. However, I watched the game. I've watched them play, and I watched Michigan play. And if you remember that morning of November 30th, that Saturday morning, I recorded a video and I said, this is the only chance Michigan has to beat Ohio State. The only chance is if they shorten up the game, they stop the run, and they don't give up the big play. The score of that game, 10-13. As bad as our offense was, we figured out a way to pull it out because Ohio State could not run the ball. So as great as Jeremiah, and I'm going to be diving deeper into this tomorrow, as great as Jeremiah Smith is, just like as great as Marvin Harrison Jr. was, it did not matter, seeing that they didn't have a balanced attack, and we have one of the best D lines, if not the best D lineman in the best 2 defensive tackles in the entire country. We had them. I know we went 8-5, but we had them, and they weren't able to run the ball, and we just didn't give up the big play. We let everything in front of us. We kept everything in front of us, and we end up squeaking out a 3-point win. That is how we won. And let me tell you, I was absolutely moved, because this one trumped. It was better than the national championship because of it took a level of commitment. It took a level of how much do you actually believe, and it took a focus group, and it confirmed. It went from me, I was a super fan, then it became psychotic with that win. I loved every minute of it. So that's coming in at number 8. Now, number nine. All right. Put the picture back up. Number 9, bottom right. Bottom right. I don't put students' names out there like that because I don't have permission from the parents to do so. But those particular students that you just saw, put it up again, right there, to your right, the bottom one to your right, bottom one to your bottom one to your right. 2 of those students I met when they were in 2nd grade. They're in 4th grade now. I've been at this school now for it's now been 2.5 years now since I've been here because they were in 2nd grade and now, they're in the middle of 4th grade. Right. And I've, for the most part, I've been around them throughout the time because what I do here is I pretty much help out with everything. I say teacher, but really the job description is pretty much help out with everything, particularly, when it comes to sports and all that. But seeing that it is a Center for Creative Education, the roles are always kind of merging and stuff like that. But anyway, that was the day that I easily, of the time I've been at this school, that was easily the most rewarding day. It really was. It was the most rewarding day because those 3 students are students that I'm around on a regular basis. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was a little upset at the fact that I wasn't involved in picking the kids or involved in, vetting them for the interview process, but that's another conversation for another day. What I was absolutely ecstatic about was seeing those young kids that I knew as 2nd graders. They had the opportunity that I never had, that not very many 4th graders are going to have, which is they got the opportunity to interview an icon, a billionaire, someone that has been able to maintain a level of success and maintain it over the period of decades. All right. His name is Tommy Hilfiger, and Tommy Hilfiger is one of the donors over here at the Center for Creative Education. And, if you go and look at the story of how he became a donor, and I believe the name is Telesco, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I believe it was a friend he had that's name is Telesco, and they were telling him about the Center for Creative Education and what we do here, which is what we do here. We use art as a way of integrating education. So we'll take an art project and teach math or teach science and teach social studies within that art lesson. That's one side. The next side is we really closely monitor reading levels, and we don't let students move up unless they're reading on grade level. Our main mission at the foundation school here is to make sure kids are reading on grade level as they go to the next phase of their lives. I remember having, conversations with several of the marketing people in the marketing department, and I would always ask, hey, if I'm talking to a potential donor, what is the ROI that I'm selling them on? And he would tell me, the ROI is the fact that kids now are going to be able to read at a higher level. They are now more stable within their jobs. You're getting kids now that are more, that will lower, that will make your retention rates go higher, right? Your retention rates go higher, not lower retention rates, because they'll be sticking with the job. They'll know how to read, they'll know how to creatively problem solve, all that kind of stuff. So when I saw the students, and luckily, again, I didn't plan. This was fortunate. This was actually a fortunate situation for me because I happened to be with the students that they chose to interview Tommy Hilfiger. I just happened to be the teacher that helps out in that classroom the most. So I wasn't actually picked to be a part of the event. I was just, again, spectator, outsider looking in, which again, I'm not going to comment on at this particular time because I might start venting and say some things that I don't want to say at this part in this particular setting. But at the same time, I was just happy to be in the room. I really was. I was happy to be in the room with those kids, those particular kids. And we're not, as teachers, we're not allowed to pick favorites or anything like that. I'm not picking any favorites now. But when you have seen the growth and development of anyone, anything, anybody, and particularly these young people right here, and knowing that they follow me on YouTube, knowing, a couple of times I'll see a couple of them, leaving little comments and saying something and say, hey, it's so-and-so, I'm watching you right now. So to know that they had the opportunity to interview a billionaire and ask questions like, what's globalization? How do you stay consistent? How do you stay motivated? Ask them really great questions in which Tommy Hilfiger gave honest, authentic, and thought out responses to. Like, you can tell that he didn't really know what questions were coming from these kids, and he answered them like a pro. I mean, he actually said, and I'll close you out with this. He said, he's $10 billion in the company. Tommy Hilfiger makes $10 billion, and he's still motivated. He's still hungry. He's still chasing that guy with the horse, the polo guy, and talking about competitors and talking about making sure we're teaching creativity in our school systems, making sure we're emphasizing the importance of reading and grade levels and all of that stuff that this fourth grader is taking in. These 3 fourth graders are taking in from him, someone who's been there and done that. And I remind him every single day. We did this. That happened this past December. Every single day, every single opportunity, I remind all 3 of them, hey, you interviewed a billionaire. You interviewed a billionaire. I don't want to hear no excuses. I don't want to hear nothing about you can't do this or this is too hard or this. You interviewed a billionaire in front of a room full of billionaires. This was the setting. It was a room full. It was a cafeteria full of billionaires that were listening. You, as a fourth grader, interviewed a billionaire while a whole room full of billionaires were listening. So I don't want to hear nothing about what you can and can't do. The only thing I want to hear is what you can do. And that is the experience that it helped them, obviously, but it also helped me because it led to this year's theme, which is how are you going to thrive, or it's time to thrive in 2025. It was that next morning where I finally came up with this year's theme, which is it's about to thrive, time to thrive in 2025. Because when I see that, when you see young people have an experience like that, it's amazing. It's amazing. Just plain and simple, it's amazing. So that comes in at number 9. Finally, number 10. I'll close you guys out with number 10. Because it's a simple one, simple and plain one. It's simply this very podcast continuing to remain the number 1 podcast on innovative teamwork. You can go look it up right now, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you listen to all of your shows. The Move Swiftly podcast is going to continue to be the number 1 show on innovative teamwork. All right. When you have that level of consistency, it's been like that for over a year now, well over a year. I think it's approaching 2 years at this particular point. It's the consistency that I continue to put the show out. And now I started by just doing recordings, now doing live streams on a more frequent basis. The goal actually this year is to do a live stream every single morning, depending on the topic, depending on where it is, to really do what I got to do to catch up to the legendary YouTubers, the legendary influencers, and all that kind of stuff. So that's number 10, easily number 10. All right. So let's count them all down real quick. Again, go back and listen to Friday's episode 1 through 5, top moments of 2024. This, as promised, I'm going through 6 through 10 today. Number 6, the fact that I continue to win my age group, make the podium on a lot of 10Ks and 5Ks, knowing that I had a DNF on the marathon in 2023. So 2024 was all about getting back into my flow and getting prepped for this year, where I plan on doing, I think I'm going to do a half marathon this month, in fact. And then, as we get into the fall, we got to get the marathon done this year. So that's number 6. Number 7, Thanksgiving of 2024. It was just a beautiful moment, beautiful moment where life was coming full circle, whether it's me seeing my niece and nephew and, being around my uncles and everyone collaborate, everything that we had lived through as a family. That moment was, you just knew that had to make the list. So shout out to moms for making sure I bought my ticket to be in the room, to be there that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Number 8, right when I landed back in Florida and Michigan upsets Ohio State, knowing that Ohio State is a damn good team this year. And even if they go on and win the championship, which it's likely that it might happen, they're still going to have that one loss. Gonna have that one loss, baby. They're gonna have that one loss, dog. You know, when we won our ship last year, we had 0 losses. If Ohio State wins the championship this year, they're gonna have that one loss that everyone gonna look at to say, yeah, we the champs, we won the natty. But they're gonna be looking at that. They're gonna look at that record in the history books and say, that one loss, dog. So damn sweet. They're gonna have that one loss if they go on and do it. That's provided that they could beat Texas, which again is not a gimme because everyone's expecting Ohio State to win, which is the mistake they ran into against Michigan, right? So that's number 8. Number 9, seeing my students, my guys, my babies, man, the ones I've seen grow and develop as young, from young second graders to now, they're going to be the leaders of the school in a couple months here. They're going to be 5th graders pretty soon. To see them interview a billionaire like Tommy Hilfiger, that's number 9. And number 10, this show continuing to be the number 1 podcast on innovative teamwork, and it will continue to be the number 1 show on innovative teamwork, continuing to get better, continuing to develop, continuing to work my craft and get better and better and better and better and better as we go. So all that being said, again, if you are interested in hearing more and diving deeper into all my work, make sure you tap into the Patreon link, patreon.com. Let me move this real quick. Patreon.com/as144. We have something for everybody there, preseason, regular season, postseason, and regardless of where you are at financially. Tap in with me there. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.